and welcome to Lion and Mouse Commentary. I'm Tori, and this is my best friend Holland.
Hello.
If you're new to our show, we rank various forms of entertainment by different categories out of a total score of 10, with only 2 points allowed for our personal taste. We will break down everything as we go, so feel free to agree, disagree, or just learn about something new. But be sure to tread lightly. There are hot takes and spoilers ahead. Cut to the intro. Okay, so today, today's topic has a little bit of a backstory. Technically, I chose the 1997 Disney film Tower of Terror for us to review, but I was coerced into it.
Yes.
By Holland, because we were in a used bookstore sometime last year together, and we were looking through the used DVDs, and this one was on sale for $2, and I was like, oh, look, ha ha ha, and Holland was like, get it, and I was like, no, and she was like, no, get it, and I was like, I don't want to spend $2 on this. She was like, no, we'll do it for the podcast, and I was like, okay, so that is why we are here.
She was a little more begrudgingly purchasing the DVD than that, but
I would say this was blind to both of us.
Yeah.
I think I watched it when I was like a kid or a preteen, but I did not really remember anything about it, so I'm gonna say it was blind to both of us. If this is new to you, here is some spoiler-free background before we get into things. So, Tower of Terror was a movie that was released on October 26, 1997 on ABC as part of their Wonderful World of Disney block, which ABC had in the 90s. So it was produced by Walt Disney Television. It was written and directed by DJ McHale, music by Louis Febre, and a running time of 89 minutes. It was based on the attraction, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which exists at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It was at the time called Disney's MGM Studios theme park in Florida. The top 6 billed cast for this are Steve Guttenberg, Kirsten Dunst, Alastair Duncan, Melora Hardin, John Franklin, and Wendy Worthington. Here is the synopsis that I pulled from IMDb. Which I think people just write those. So, like, you can be anybody, I think, and write a synopsis on IMDb. So, I don't know who wrote this. But in 1939 in Los Angeles, 4 guests of a party and the elevator operator disappear on the 11th floor of the Hollywood Tower Hotel on Halloween night. 60 years later, the journalist Buzzy Crocker writes sensationalist stories for the tabloid The National Inquisitor after being fired from the Los Angeles Banner for writing fake news. His former girlfriend Jill Perry is the Banner's editor, but Buzzy fell in disgrace and now has to produce fake news using his teenage niece Anna to help him. When the elderly Abigail Gregory visits Buzzy at home, she tells an amazing story to him about the mysterious disappearance of the 5 people. Abigail says that Emmeline, the nurse lady, I guess, that disappeared, was a witch that hated Sally and put a spell on the girl, trapping the ghost in the hotel, and she needs a book of spells and belongings of the 5 people in the elevator to revert the curse. Soon, Buzzy and Anna encounter the ghosts, and together with the skeptical Jill, they learn the true story of the curse. It's a mess. Just the synopsis. Some facts. This was Disney's first film based on one of its theme park attractions and the only one produced for television. Probably the more popular series is the Pirates of the Caribbean series, but that was straight to theater. This film, which has no connection to any incarnation of the Twilight Zone, was partly filmed at the actual attraction in Disney MGM Studios, while the rest was filmed on a stage in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. When asked why the film would be shot in California rather than Disney MGM Studios, Disney spokesperson Craig Martinelli said, "It's logistics more than anything else." But he did go on to say the exterior shots were all filmed at the Orlando attraction in the summer of 97. On October 21st, 1997, Kirsten Dunst appeared at Disney MGM Studios to sign novelizations of Tower of Terror, because apparently they made those, in front of the ride. And the following day, she participated in the handprint ceremony at the park and hosted a Q&A. And as of this recording of this podcast episode, this film is not available on any official streaming services, nor has it been airing recently on any TV channels. You must watch it via DVD or an unofficial channel. So, with that, smattering of facts. Holland, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so our first category is plot and story delivery. Out of a total possible score of 2, I gave this 0 out of 2. This plot is such a mess. I took so many notes when I review things for our podcast. I take notes as I go. So a lot of times my thoughts are like, my notes are chronological. If I went through chronologically all of the notes and questions and plot holes and confusion that I had during this watch of this movie, this would be a 5-hour long podcast because I have never seen such convoluted plot, plural, in how long is it? It's like an hour and a half.
89 minutes.
It's not even 90 minutes.
It's
less than 90 minutes of screen time.
Somehow it's still too long.
It is. It really is. So Tori's synopsis of the plot is clearer than anything you will watch in this film. It's just, and if your audience can't follow a plot, or if a plot doesn't make sense, you have a problem. Because you can have, take for example, the films that are, have a lot of twists and turns or a lot of complex. Just for instance, this is not a definitive list, but Interstellar, Inception, The Prestige, a lot of these films, as you're watching it, there's moments where you're supposed to be confused, and that's okay because at the end you get the answers to all these questions you have. In this movie, I never got any answers to the questions that I have. It's so nonsensical. The pacing is terrible. I clocked it at 30 minutes into a 90-minute film. 1/3 of the film, nothing significant had happened in this movie. It was so confusing. There's so much expositional dialogue in this film. The plot in the dialogue is that 5 people disappeared. There's somehow black magic involved. There's this book of souls. There's a witch that cursed and trapped all these ghosts, but we have no idea why or what the motive is of this witch. And then why does the old lady need the book? And how is she going to do anything with it? How does she have a basement key that she gives to our main cast of characters so that they can go get this spell book for her under the guise that she's trying to help the ghosts? But there's no way that she can help the ghosts if there's the spell book unless she's a witch too. So that plot twist is just kind of already just ripe for the picking there. But then when plot twist, she's the bad guy and she put the curse on the ghost. Like, why? What was the motive? Jealousy? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, we spent no time building up any why behind any of this. And then we have that whole convoluted plot of this magical, mystical curse. And then about an hour into the movie or so, then the ghosts tell us how to free them, which is just fix the elevator so that we can get to the top floor.
Gotta go to the party.
Because we're trapped in limbo in the elevator. So the party somehow reanimates and returns to the world, and all of the people that died that were no longer, they didn't die in the party. They got to leave and carry on the rest of their natural lives, but then they reappear in the party. So do they come from the afterlife and reanimate once a year to give these ghosts, to torment these ghosts with the noise of a party that they can't get to? It's so ridiculous. And I can't even give them props for trying, because you spend the whole film not understanding why any of this is happening or what's going on. And then you have this subplot that we try to set up at the beginning, that Buzzy, our main male lead, is trying to get back into the newspaper business instead of working for a tabloid because he lied about a news story, so he got kicked out of Credible News. So then he's going to get back into Credible News by finding a lie and presenting it to the newspaper? What? He's gonna find a good story and fake a ghost to then get back into legitimate, credible news? That doesn't make sense. Like, and then you're like, does he believe in these ghosts being real? Or is this just a scam? And like, but no, because then it's so messy. It's just so messy. I don't understand just why the guy that built the hotel was a bellhop, but then you find out at the very end that no, his dad owned the hotel and he's working as a bellhop. Like, that was like my first question. I was like, the guy that owned the hotel is a ghost, according to the maintenance man. He's saying his ancestor owns the hotel and is trapped as a ghost.
Which also, if that's the case, why would you make your son be the bellhop? Is it to like teach him humility or something? Because that's not evident in the character of the bellhop at all.
Right. And he says at one point that I'm working the elevator to prove that I can work this hotel. The two are not the same. Pushing buttons on an elevator is
I can do work.
is not the same as running a business. It's just why the ghosts appear and disappear and Buzzy can't even get a picture of them. Like, this is your one job. Your one job is to catch photos that you can then sell to tabloids. How can nobody take a picture of these ghosts? It's just ridiculous. This romance side plot we have in here as well, because of course we gotta have one, is we gotta give Buzzy two romantic interests. One is this actress lady who, surprise, is a ghost. And two is this newspaper lady, which, surprise, they have some, like, tension there. Like, this is ridiculous.
She was like his ex-boss or something.
Yeah, but
girlfriend.
then he thinks that he can, like, charm her. It's just, it's not good.
Fake
not
news.
good vibes at all. I don't understand why fixing the elevator couldn't have just been the whole plot the whole time. It would have saved us 50 minutes of runtime. Just fixing the elevator. But then, at the end, they're trying to fix the elevator and then, whoa, but then we gotta try and use the spell book again. Like, make up your mind. What is the solution to the problem here? Why couldn't you just pick one? Just pick one. I don't love the witchcraft plot anyways. I think it's just not, one, it's not well done, and two, I feel like it's, like, you can have a spooky story and it be dark and, like, age appropriate, and I feel like the witchcraft plot is kind of dark in the wrong way. Like, for kids, pitting, like, siblings against each other and, like, wanting to, like, curse people into the afterlife and, like, make them live in eternal torment instead of being able to go to the I don't think that's age appropriate for kids. Like, that's just my personal take on it. So buyer beware if you think this is gonna be some fun, like, so bad it's good movie for your kids. Like, preview it first, because I feel like there's a lot of, like, unsaid problems with that plot of it. I really didn't like it personally. I'm like, this is really dark for a kids movie. Like, you know, anyways, I won't beat that dead horse. And then, of course, at the end, they didn't even need to fix the elevator or use the spell book because love saved the day. Like, the two sisters forgiving each other, but for what? Like, I forgive you that you cursed me and I didn't even know that it was you that cursed me and kept me in this limbo for 60 years. Like, but I forgive you. Like, it's just this, like, half-baked resolution of love solving the problem. Like, so again, like, make up your mind story. This is so problematic and it just doesn't make any sense. The proposal of this romance plot was terrible at the end. It was so, like, lame that the two ghosts, just that happen to be, like, the male and female ghosts, they have this proposal at the end. But, like, guys, you're moving into the afterlife, so why would you do that? Like, you couldn't have proposed, like, in the 60 years. You guys could have had a
60-year ghost marriage. I'm just saying.
The 60 years you waited until you, like, got back up to the club. Like, it just makes no sense. And then how does the witch at the end, she gets to turn young and then go to the afterlife with her sister? Like, how does that happen? Like, where's the rules of the magic here? We've talked about this all the time. That like, if you're gonna have magic, you gotta have rules. Like, it's just ridiculous. The dialogue is cheesy. I think the name of the club is dumb. It's the Tip Top Club. I think it's a terrible, like, trying to be this cheesy, corny
it's
homage.
Way too tongue-in-cheek.
To, like, Club 33. And it's allegedly, well, yeah, it is. It's at the top of the hotel, but then we see our entire cast in a party down in the lobby at the beginning, and they're all like, that's how we're introduced to our main cast of characters, and there's a full band, and like all of these shots of the party that we then see are shots of the party at the end. Why?
The party was so large, every floor was having a party.
Right, like, I was so confused. I was like, why do they have to take the elevator up to the party? Were
From
they
the
not
party.
just at the party? Like, what, are there two parties? Like, what's wrong with this one? Like, it's so messy. Like, I really don't like this movie at all. Just only in this category. I could just immediately dislike it because it's just so, like, it's just a mess. It's a mess. And I feel like this is like what happens when a committee makes a movie, because I feel like there were like a team of writers and they all had ideas, and then the like person that had to make the head of the committee couldn't commit or like tell anybody no. So he was like, I know, we'll do all your ideas. And then that's what this is.
Yeah.
So terrible, like, and you know, sometimes I try to give credit to plots where I'm like, the bones were really good, but the execution was terrible, or maybe the bones were really good, but you didn't flesh it out well enough. No, the bones were bad. Like, this is a rotting corpse, and you should not have tried to bring it to life. You should have just killed it and started over. So 0 out of 2.
Okay. Great start. For me, for plot and story delivery, I also gave this 0 out of 2 points. I agree with a lot of what you said, so I'm not going to rehash your points. I'm just going to give any of mine that are different. I think the best part of the movie is the first 3 minutes, and then it all goes downhill from there. But like, you start the movie and you're like, wow, this is like really atmospheric, and like, I like the whole like back in time, like big band era party scene. Like, this could be really, really compelling. And then it does not deliver on any of that. So like, they kind of set a bar, at least in atmosphere and aesthetic, at the top, and then everything behind it is so disappointing and lackluster because there's no actual logical build to any of the reasons why anything happens. Something happens and there is rarely a why behind it. If there is a why behind it, it usually contradicts or undermines another why somewhere in the plot. Yeah. It makes the characters, which I'll talk about later, very confusing and sort of like wish-washy and back and forth. Their motivations are very unclear. They could have had this very classic mystery vibe, and they sort of try to do this in the fact that they introduce all these characters and they give them what looks to be motives, but then none of the motives actually makes sense after we are introduced to all these characters for, like, you know, could they be involved in this? Do they know anything about it? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's like we get to see the window opening and we're like, okay, maybe this will lead somewhere. But then something happens to completely like demolish what I thought was being set up. So a lot of the plot twists that happen, whether or not they're unexpected is not really my point, because I think some of them could be classified as unexpected. But if a plot twist is unexpected and undoes some work we've had to get there, then it's still a bad plot device to twist it that way. The messy execution really makes everything suffer, because there's this whole idea here that, is the Hollywood Tower Hotel actually haunted, or is it folklore, storytelling, you know, some explainable natural phenomenon for what we're doing, seeing, hearing, whatever that is. And that is never truly like addressed by our main characters who are supposed to navigate the mystery. So because there's no like basis for reality, they take this idea with like, well, it's the basis of reality is magic. All right, well, if we're going to commit to that, can we have some principles of this magic? No, we're going to do whatever we want whenever we feel like it for the wow effect or the oh no effect or the whatever. So you're just left with like the craziest canvas.
It's like the whole part when the ghosts are like scaring Buzzy and Kirsten Dunst's character, Anna or whatever her name is. And it's like, you see a ghost with no head, and then a ghost pops out of a picture. It's like, are they trying to scare our heroes? Or are they trying to get our heroes to help them? Both.
Right.
Well, no, you can't have both.
Right. Everything undermines itself. Everything is so unclear. And honestly, this lack of grounds would work better if the overall genre of this movie was something like psychological thriller instead of ghost mystery for the family. It just doesn't work. It's not working. How you have packaged this to us is it's like when you see a commercial for a Big Mac and then you go get a Big Mac and you're like, this is not what the commercial said. You know what I mean? Like there's that bit of like I'll still consume it, but it's not what I was expecting. This is like the letdown Big Mac of like Disney straight to TV movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that in and of itself, straight to TV Disney movies are bad. I think we have plenty of examples throughout the years where maybe things are a little bit campy or hokey, but like generally the plot is fine and solid. And it's like, it's not that, well, you should have known what you were getting into when you started this. No, I still think that a straight to TV movie should give us a plot that is followable and follows its own set rules. But it doesn't do this. And I don't even understand at the end why Abigail, the old lady, even needed Anna and Buzzy at all. When your main characters become useless to your plot, that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
Abigail could do her nonsense whenever, wherever, and however she wanted. She had the key. And also, it's so weird to me that she's like, I have to have the book to undo the curse. Well, if you set the curse, why do you care? Like, your mission was accomplished.
No, because she didn't want them just to be in limbo. She wanted them to be suffering. Which, again,
but it still doesn't make any sense.
It's very weak. It's very weak.
If Abigail hasn't been back to the Hollywood Tower Hotel since she did the curse, then how would she know?
Right.
How would she know what the ghosts are up to?
Yeah.
Do they write letters?
Yeah. How does she? Yeah, and then she was allegedly like in that home.
Yeah.
All that time.
It's like,
so yeah, how did she know that they're not all, that it didn't work?
It's right, exactly. It's like, does she have some sort of weird twin telepathy with her 6-year-old ghost sister? She's still here.
And she's not miserable.
And also, 60 years for an old lady to hold a grudge against her 6-year-old sister is crazy work. I'm just saying, like, move on with your life, lady.
She couldn't. She was trapped in a home.
Yes, and absolutely what you said about, like, at the end when, okay, yay, we've freed all the people, and then they go back to the party. So did we suddenly go back in time, or did everybody 60 years ago at the party freeze in time? Because if that's the case, then wouldn't there be a whole lot more families affected by this curse? Because now all of these people who've been at the party,
players,
right? Like, where did their family? Like, how did they cope? I want to know more about that. But that's not established.
It couldn't be that they're all in limbo too, because the maintenance man says that his great-grandfather, whoever, said that the hotel can't be inherited by anyone until the mystery is solved. So the grandfather he's talking about, we find, is the bellhop guy's dad, who appears as a ghost then how did he can't be a ghost, because then he could have never said this mystery has to be solved.
Yeah, it's so weird. So then are we to be suggested that when the elevator was fixed, all of those people just zooted back in time 60 years and resumed their lives?
But the old just the hotel owner, like, just as our little object lesson here.
Right.
He died.
Right.
So he got zipped out of the afterlife to be at this party every
I guess
year?
so. And then that would mean that the whole trajectory of the Hollywood Tower Hotel and history changes, which means that's a crazy domino effect. I've seen time travel movies. You're not supposed to mess with it like that.
Yeah.
The space-time continuum is going to go all crazy.
Right.
So that just doesn't make any sense. So ultimately...
Or all these dead people, I think all these dead people are getting resurrected once a year to play this party again.
It's like the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. They're just
except just once a year. Just one day a year.
It's the graveyard in the Haunted Mansion. Okay, anyway. So ultimately, I think the issue here is that they probably had a meeting and they said, somebody said, I have an idea. It would be really cool, I think, if we made movies based on some of the Disney attractions that we have in parks. And everybody else at the table was like, that is a really cool idea. I like that, Steven. Let's go for it. Or what, I don't know who it was. And so they were like, okay, what's the first one we should do? And somebody was like, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. And here's what happened. They couldn't use the Twilight Zone. So this removal of an established IP for a beloved attraction that's been there for years. And now we have this issue where we have to create a story based on the events of an attraction that's attached to an IP that we cannot use. And so I think the choice was a poor one because of that. I think if they had gotten the rights to use the Twilight Zone and just made a Twilight Zone Tower of Terror-esque movie in the vein of the Twilight Zone show, it would have been so much better. I think generally the story could have been a lot more compelling and easier to understand because you kind of have the confines of what that show was already doing. And so if they were gonna commit to the choice of the Twilight Zone or the Tower of Terror, they needed to also have the Twilight Zone. I think if they couldn't have that IP, they needed to pick another IP that didn't, or another ride that did not have an IP attached to it. And that happened successfully with the Pirates of the Caribbean. So we know that it can be done. And we know that, you know, it can be established well, followed through well, and received really well. So what happened here? I don't think it's all budget. I think it's the weird disassociation from the established IP of the ride and the fact that maybe, I mean, I don't know, this could ultimately just come down to a really bad writing choice. Like, it could just be really bad writing and directing and, you know, just bad production. I don't really know.
But I think even if they couldn't get the license for the Twilight Zone, let's just say, for instance, they couldn't actually call it the Twilight Zone. They couldn't use any aspects of the intellectual property of the Twilight Zone. There is still, I think, because the Twilight Zone made such an impact in TV and filmmaking, that your average American audience is willing to accept this is something occurring in a world that's not actually our world.
Right.
This is occurring in a different dimension, or it's in this world, things are real. Every superhero movie is set in our world, and we don't have to think, well, how does this superhero
Thor's hammer work?
Have his powers? Like, no, we just accept it's a comic book.
And that's a good point too, because even the ride, the Tower of Terror, talks about, like, you know, the Twilight Zone is a moving of dimensions, and in the ride, your ride carriage literally moves dimensions. It's part of the experience. So they really should have leaned into that way more instead of trying to ground this weird ghost curse story into the real world, and then everything just fell apart. It just frayed as you watched, and it made it really difficult to watch.
A haunted hotel that is frozen in time in the 1930s is not a bad concept to start with.
Right. Like, and that's the thing. Everything could have been very compelling, and that's why I think the first 3 minutes of the film are the best ones. And then it's just such a disappointment after that, unfortunately. Yeah. So 0 out of 2 points for plot.
Alrighty, so our next category is characters. Out of a total possible score of 3, I gave this 0 out of 3. The acting is so corny. Like, I'm not trying to knock on any actors. I think that it's very clear that really good actors can look really bad with poor direction and poor writing. And so I'm not blaming the director. I'm not blaming the actors. I am kind of blaming the writing because the material is really rough to work with. Maybe the budget, they had a lot of constraints on things. Maybe they were told, like, hey, we want you to act like super over the top and exaggerated on everything. But I feel like, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I feel like the character of Buzzy is so over exaggerated and over the top that he comes across as a cartoon character instead of a human being. And his facial expressions are over exaggerated. His tone is a little silly sounding. It pulls you out of any type of reality. And if the whole film was like that we were watching this kind of spoof on or parody film, then I would be like, okay, I'm watching a parody. It's supposed to be over the top. But it's not presented that way at all, so it's not a believable strategy. This is not the Three Stooges. Right. Yeah. Or some kind of parody movie. And then overall, no character has any real clear motives. With Buzzy, I feel like it's a decent setup that he's this tabloid writer that wants to write real news. I got that. I get that. Like, we all work like crummy jobs that we don't like as a stepping stone to get where we want to be. Oh, he's a disgraced reporter, so now he can only get tabloid jobs. Okay, that's fine, but he seems to really like scamming people and fooling the public into believing things that are real. So he doesn't really seem like he wants to be a real journalist, and his behavior towards the real news article is, hey, I've got this really great story. I swear it's real this time. And it's clearly not. So now you're a liar and a scam artist, and we're supposed to now root for you? Like, I have no reason to root for this guy. He seems like a kind of a slimy guy.
Sleaze, yeah.
And then he has no, like, redemption and doesn't ever, like, learn his lesson or come through that. So the whole movie, I'm like, I don't like this guy. He's super annoying. And then Kirsten Dunst asks him, like, do you ever want to write about something real? And then he's just like, that we never addressed that. I'm like, okay, so was this the setup that, like, oh, sometimes I get tired of scamming people and I just wish I could write about something that was real. And then, nope, we don't go anywhere with that. And that's so hokey anyways. And like, acts like a cardboard cutout. And he's like, please don't let my niece die. And then he's like, the dialogue is so corny. It's like, I've never given any impression that you care about your niece whatsoever. You just use her as a tool to make your scam stories with. And then he's trying to, like, he's not believable as a romantic lead at all. He's like, tries to, like, woo this woman by saying, we could go back to the restaurant with that food that tastes like shoes. And it's like, that's not funny. One, it's terrible writing, and two, like, I'm not convinced that you're a wooer. Like, I don't think anyone would want to be with that pickup line. Like, that's just horrible. And he talks about, like, writing about something he believes in at one point, but then all he cares about is the impact of the story and how it will give him a career again, and not the ghosts at all. Like, I don't believe that you believe in any of this. It's so messy. He's such a messy protagonist. It's just as messy as the rest of the plot, but he's just completely unlikable. Kirsten Dunst is a decent actor. I would say she's probably the best actress in this movie, or actress in this movie, but it's not enough to save the film. She's very believable as, like, a young kid. I get a lot of, like, Jumanji vibes from her performance because I thought she did really well in that film, and that was a little earlier. than this one. The ghosts, I was waiting for them to show up, and they don't show up until really late in the movie. And then once they do show up, they're just like cardboard cutouts. It's like, these are the people stuck in the elevator, and they have no personality or character and nothing to make you care about them, except this little girl looks kind of cute. Like, come on, we gotta have something. Yeah. Like, there's no reason to want anything for these ghosts except that they, like, always stand huddled together like sad little, like, puppies in the rain, and, like, don't you feel bad for them? No, not really. I don't know anything about them. What if they're all horrible people and they deserve to be trapped? Like, what if they're bad ghosts and this is punishment they're getting as their just desserts? Like, we don't know anything about them this whole movie. And then when they get to the afterlife, I'm like, don't care, because you know what? I didn't have any reason to care about anybody in this whole movie, and that goes for all the characters. I feel like at the like, my summation in watching this movie was like, I don't care if anybody in this movie dies, and that's a real problem. Yeah. If you don't care about the death of your characters, and actually I kind of wanted Buzzy to die because he was so annoying. I felt like his only redemption arc would be if he, like, sacrifices himself to save his niece
in the elevator shaft.
Or, like, I mean, you don't have to kill him, that's a little dark, but, like, if he got injured or was willing to die, or, like, willing to give up his job at the paper, which you kind of tried to do that, but not really. Like, it was so weak. And, like, between the bad acting, the poor writing, and the, like, lack of compulsion and getting to know any of these people other than the fact that they're, like, cardboard cutouts. I mean, I know more about Scooby-Doo's Mystery Gang than I know about these characters.
Yeah.
And I learn about Scooby-Doo's Mystery Gang in a 22-minute episode, and you had 90 minutes to get me to care, and I didn't care at the end. And I really can't say much more than that. I could, again, if I went line by line through everything in this movie, this would be a 5-hour long podcast. I'm not going to do that. But at the end of the day, I feel like if I don't care a lick about your characters, and I kind of am hoping for the worst for them because they're that unlikable.
Or at least it would add some interest.
Yeah. I was bored. I was bored with these people. From the villain. Sometimes I even like movies that are, like, so bad it's good, because at least the villain is fun to watch. The villain's not even fun to watch in this movie. It was so ridiculous and just weak and flat and poorly written. I felt like this was like a cake that was in the oven for 2 minutes, and then you pulled it out, like, here you go, and you dump it out of the...
trying to eat it, and it's like...
it's dumped out. You dump the pan out, and it just, like, spills all over the counter, and I'm like, well, why would I... No. It was so half-baked.
Gotta be on ABC, everybody!
So, anyways, 0 out of 3. I can't, like, get into it any more than that, because we'll be here all night long, so... 0 out of 3. It was terrible. Terrible. Okay,
so characters for me, also 0 out of 3.
Oh, wow.
So the acting is a bit over the top, yes. However, the biggest problem for me about the acting is that I do not believe any connection or relationship in this entire movie. I don't believe that Buzzy's niece is Anna. I don't believe that Anna really looks up to her uncle the way that she claims to do. A lot of the dialogue does not support a lot of the acting, which I think is a big problem. I don't believe that Abigail at the end actually feels any regret or remorse for what she did to her sister and all these other people, which makes the redemption part of her character a huge issue for me. Everybody just forgets the fact that you literally attempted to kill 6 people.
Yeah.
But because she says she feels bad at the end, everybody's like, oh, okay. It's cool. It's fine. We love you. No!
We've been trapped in this hotel for 60 years.
And not even that, but, like, she is deranged. When the, like, Lady Jill or whatever, the lady journalist, goes into her, like, little apartment and opens the trunk, and there's, like, ripped up dolls and, like, big like red X's over pictures of her sister. I'm like disturbed.
Yeah.
And no, that just didn't matter in the end of it. Like that just didn't matter.
Right.
But Anna and Buzzy, main characters, so we're supposed to be seeing this through their eyes, and they are completely useless at the end. Because you know what happens at the end? I'm a reenact.
Love finds a way.
I'm gonna reenact for you.
Go ahead.
So Abigail, the bad lady, old lady witch, who's the real villain or whatever, she's in the basement or whatever, wherever they're at, you know, and she's doing the magic. And Buzzy and Anna are standing there going, "Oh no, what will we do? Tackle her! Stop her, maybe. How about that?" It's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? She's doing magic spells. We can't do nothing. Go stop her! Go stop her!"
Move your feet.
Literally, like, at this point, I don't even care if you harm the old lady. Break some ribs, tackle her into the ground, and it'll buy you time to fix the elevator. Isn't that the goal, to fix the elevator so everybody can move on with their lives?
Right.
But I was just like, why is nobody doing anything productive in this entire film? It got so excruciating, and I got so angry because everybody stands around more than they react in almost every scene.
That's so true.
There's so many characters. There's such a large, like, core cast. Because you've got all these ghosts, and then you've got the old lady witch, and then you've got Anna and Buzzy, and then you've got Jill, and then you've got the guy who, like, caretakes for the hotel that eventually would, you know, if the mystery gets solved, then he would inherit. We've got all these characters, and at the end, everyone is present. Why are all of our characters just standing around looking at each other while somebody expounds for 4 minutes? But then, and nobody actually seems to be, like, engaged even. Like, nobody's actually listening or reacting. They're just standing there. And it it broke the immersion so bad that, like, I'm attempting so hard to buy this story. And I can't, because nobody here actually seems to believe what they're acting. So if you can't believe what you're acting, how do you expect me to do that? I don't like anyone, like you said. And if I have to, being subjected to 89 minutes of a movie and I don't like anybody in the cast is, again, a big problem. Because, like you said, it makes me not care. I don't care. I don't care how it ends. I don't care how it started. I don't care how we got there. Because you're proving to me throughout the course of this movie that you don't care either. This is your world and your mystery, and you don't care. Like, that's a problem. And nobody in that cast has any decent grip on reality or any logic at all. It's like, well, let's try this off the wall thing. And everybody goes, yeah! It's like, what makes you think that something that weird would actually work? Like, even the whole ghost thing being like, you gotta fix the elevator and then we'll be saved. Why? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, then why did you not tell the caretaker 60 years ago? On year 1 of your curse, you could have been like, hey, because if they can appear to people, which is evident, they appear to people, be like, hey, I think our curse would be broken if you could fix the elevator. We could have been prioritizing that for 60 years. Why is this now? Why is this a piece of information we receive now? Doesn't make any sense. I don't have anything much to say. Also, everything that's meant to be funny in this movie is not funny.
It's not.
And I was laughing, but I wasn't laughing because it was funny. It's like, you know how, like, sometimes it's just like a reaction to just, like, laugh at the ridiculousness of something? It's like you don't actually find it funny or amusing. You're just like, I cannot believe that this is happening right now. It's almost like when you get, like, crazy news and you're, like, trying to absorb it and you're like, what? Like, you're not actually laughing because you're amused. And I found myself laughing way more out of, like, what am I watching right now than anything else. So yeah, everything was just so bad. There's no character development, there's no character arc, no believability, no consistency, because while they are consistently boring, there's no consistency in any of their dialogue, like any of their acting supporting the dialogue that they say to each other. Everything just feels so scripted. And it's really, really bad. So 0 out of 3.
All right, so our next category is aesthetics. So out of a total possible score of 2, I gave this 0 out of 2.
Are we seeing a pattern?
Yeah. So overall, it's just, it's just like, it's not all the way to unwatchable, but I feel like there's not enough in this film visually that merits any credit, if that makes sense. So, like, straight out of the gate, I'm watching the opening, 3 minutes, and there's dialogue being said without showing us on screen who is talking. I had to back up the movie, 10, 15 seconds, because somebody, I don't even remember what was said, but somebody spoke something relevant to the plot. Maybe they were talking about oh, the party's starting at the Tip Top Club or something like that that's relevant, or right this way, Mr. So-and-so, I have your bags, or oh, your reservation is ready, something relevant to what you're seeing on screen. And yet it's just this disembodied voice speaking. And I couldn't find out who was speaking to read lips because it was really hard to understand what was said. And I'm like, okay, this was clearly done in ADR. So it should be the crispiest thing that you hear because it was recorded in a controlled environment in a booth. And one, I can't understand what's being said. I have no idea who is speaking. And this is something that's important to the plot, or they wouldn't have gone back and recorded it over. So what are we doing here? It's 3 minutes in and I'm confused. This is something technical that could have been fixed and remedied. Do a pickup shot with someone, zoom, it doesn't have to be, it was over a wide shot of multiple, maybe a character standing at the front desk at the hotel and the receptionist there and somebody walks by with a, pushing a luggage cart or something. It's shoot a pickup shot with some extra somewhere and give us some clarity, and that kind of set you up for the whole rest of the film. The CGI is pretty dated. It's pretty terrible when it comes to the lightning or the storm that's happening. Tori kind of already mentioned, there's so many shots where your cast is watching something dynamic that's occurring, and we have a reaction shot of them, and they're just standing. There's no reaction or reacting occurring, and that was clearly an intentional cut to see the reactions of our cast, and we're not watching any reactions. Overall, the cinematography feels like a PBS Kids TV show. There's these wipe transitions from scene to scene. They stay way too long. The shots hold way too long on really boring stuff. And then they're too fast or whip by material that really should matter or be relevant to the plot. There's so much, I think, in this film that could have just been corrected in the editing room. If we had just done a few more takes, if we had just had a little bit more, if the framing was on our characters so we could, see their facial expressions better, or if the shots had more continuity between scenes. There were so many things where I'm watching and I'm this is change. It's clearly a different shot from a different angle, or it's shot on a different day, and I can tell. And I'm not a film student or a film connoisseur, so if I can tell, it's pretty bad. The other things I thought was the Buzzy running from the maintenance guy when he first sees him, and he's running away. It's the slowest running I have ever seen. He walks into the hotel and he's startled by, I think is it Q or
I don't know his name,
but he's startled by him and he's running away back towards his car. And I'm dude, I could catch you. You're running so slow. Could we not have done another take? And then when Buzzy and Anna are running from the headless dummy, or the ghost, you're running so slow. You don't look panicked or afraid at all. And it's this is something that's so simple. It's just do another take. well, they don't really have really far to run. Like, I promise you, I can make myself look like I'm running really fast in this tiny little room where we film our podcast. Like, I promise you, your actors could do it. Like, you don't have to go run in slow motion. But then, and then, like, they, when the elevator is going up, they run up the stairs just as fast as the elevator is moving. I don't know the last time you tried running up a flight of stairs, but you can't beat an elevator. You just can't. Not going up. Maybe going down you can.
Yeah.
If it's stopping on a few floors. It's just like little things like that. I really hated the singing at the end. That was just awful. I hate singing, arbitrary singing in a movie trying to launch somebody's pop career. It's just awful. The only thing that I thought was decent, literally the only positive I note, was in the kitchen when you hear the ghost sounds and like that kind of suspenseful moment where you're hearing the noises the ghosts are making. I thought that was decent, but literally that was the only thing I was like, okay, that was actually pretty good. Like, this is supposed to be kind of a scary movie for families, so that was kind of scary. But other than that, it didn't feel, nothing visually felt like a scary movie. None of it felt like there was any suspense. None of it felt like there was any tension. None of it felt like this was like an action movie or a drama or a heartfelt movie or a mystery. Like, visually, nothing set me up for the tone of this movie. It set me up like this is some random Tuesday afternoon on a kid's TV network, and this is the episode of the week where, you know, wild, wacky stuff happens. Like,
wacky.
I don't think that's what you were going for with your movie, and I know that's not what they were going for with their movie. So it just, like, if you're visually not conveying to your audience what type of movie this is, what mood we want to set, what tone we want to set, how we want you to feel during the movie, I feel like is a huge part of aesthetics. And in this whole movie, the only thing I felt was boredom. So again, it's not completely unwatchable, but it's one of those things that's like, there are a lot of films out there, like made for TV movies, that are filmed and structured either like a Disney Channel TV show where it's set and established very much like the way you would film a TV show, or it's set and filmed like a theatrical release, you know, action film, kids film, family film, you know, whatever. And this really didn't, it's like it didn't know, it's like the visuals of this film just gave it no voice. It didn't have anything to say. And so there was the plot and the characters already told you there was nothing compelling to be given to the audience. And I feel like the visuals were just further reflection of that. And I think that visually, any form of art or media, it's the visuals and the aesthetics of it are supposed to give you the flavor. You're supposed to at least be able to identify this is supposed to be scary, this is supposed to be exciting, this is supposed to be action, this is supposed to be sad, this is supposed to be heartwarming. And I didn't get any flavors in any moments of this film. It was just like flat and whitewashed across or not whitewashed, but it was just like, it's very dull, very tonal, you know, just bland. So that was the biggest reason. I couldn't go into specifics in my notes just because overall I'm like, it's almost so dull that I really didn't have much to say because there was much to talk about because there wasn't much substance there. So 0 out of 2.
All right. So for me, for aesthetics, do you want to guess my score?
Did you give it 0?
Close. I gave half a point out of 2, and I think
right.
I'm being generous. I'm being nice today.
I think so too.
Yes, the CGI does not hold up well at all. Mm-mm. It's kind of gross. It's very dated. It feels so far removed from the practical things that we see that compared side by side, it's just really stark. But I do think that overall the sets are pretty nice. And I appreciate that they used the attraction as much as they could to film the outside things. I think that helped with some of the actual like locale immersion. I think that they did an okay job at internal Hollywood Tower Hotel sets, as well as sets like the news station and the house and stuff. While they're not necessarily remarkable in many ways, I do think they feel like the locations they are supposed to be. They do multiple, too many, of these super weirdly executed Hitchcock zooms, because I think they were trying to be like edgy and weird like Hitchcock, but it felt like they were not practically done on set, but rather done in post, because they don't feel smooth or like the actor was placed in a way that would make a Hitchcock zoom effective. And there's at least 2 in this film, which I thought was weird. I think it's weird to use too many Hitchcock zooms. 1 is a nice homage. 2 is confusing, and anything more than that and I would have started throwing things, because that's just too many. Really bad green screen as well. That kind of goes hand in hand with the CGI, but just really poor use of the green screen. They did not even put any sort of light filters to counteract the green, so our actors have a sort of greenish glow coming off of them from the green screen. There are ways to do that. You can put a nice little magenta over a light and separate that, and it kills a lot of that glow. But we didn't do that. The only other thing that I think is kind of decent is I think the score is decent, but here's my complaint with the score. A lot of times it felt like it did not fit with what we were watching.
Yeah.
The score was either too spooky for what we were looking at, or not spooky enough, or it was kind of bouncy and happy in like a more serious conversation that was going on. And like it felt like independently, if I was listening to the music, I'd be like, okay, this is nice score, but when I'm watching it juxtaposed with the scene, it's not fitting. It feels like, you know, I'm trying to do a jigsaw puzzle with pieces from another puzzle. Like, the piece itself is fine, but it doesn't seem to go here. And I just thought that was odd. Now, the one thing I want to talk about, because I thought it was so stupid, is this idea that the magic of sisterly love evokes sparkles everywhere. So now there is glitter in the air, and the lights are sparkly and like a disco ball around us because we're sisters and we love each other again. And I was like, could we not convey this in any other way?
Fairy dust.
It's like, literally, it was like Tinkerbell flew by and was like, here you go. Yay, you fixed everything. Everything's right in the world again. And it was so dumb and unrealistic, and I hated it. So I don't have much else to say that you didn't already talk about. I think that I'm being pretty generous. So 0.5 point out of 2.
Yeah. So sometimes we think in our, at least I do, I think Tori probably could echo this, but 0.5 point out of 2 is 25%. So like if a quarter of it was good, then you would give 0.5 point. And I think Tori is willing to give that 25%, and I was not, which is why I give it a 0.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think about it that way, that like, did I think 25% of this was good? No, I think maybe like 5% of it was good. So that rounds down to a 0.
Sometimes the way that I usually weigh my points is how big and glaring are the issues. And then, because if it's like, if it's like I have 10 issues, but they're all so tiny and minuscule,
yeah,
then that doesn't weigh as heavily to me as like 3 or 4 big major issues. I think those are more weighty.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So next category, as always, our second to last category is personal taste and preference, and we are only allowed 2 points for personal taste. And I gave this 0 out of 2. I wrote, what even was this? This movie wasn't even a so bad it's good film. It was just bad. I am personally apologizing for the $2 I made you spend on this, Tori, and I'm glad I will never have to see it again.
You could pay me $1 and we could go
split the cost.
Split our suffering.
Okay. I'll pay you $1 after this episode.
That's just a joke.
I understand why Disney denies its existence by not hosting it on Disney Plus. I would disown it too.
That's funny.
This is my formal apology to Tori for making her waste $2.
I accept your apology.
Thank you. Let's have some pixie dust.
The sparkles of sisterly love.
Yep. Let's just...
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for personal...
If somebody wants to do that, clip that and do that in post, go for it. We'll put it on our socials.
Oh, okay.
That's all I got. 0 out of 2.
So for me, for personal taste and preference, I was again very generous, and I gave this half a point out of 2.
That is generous.
And to be 100% honest with you, my entire enjoyment of this movie is from the association I have with the ride, because it is my favorite Disney attraction and has been for many, many years. Every time I visit the parks, it is my priority to ride. I will ride it by myself multiple times. If nobody else in my party wants to ride it with me, that's cool. It doesn't bother me. I will happily ride it on my own, and have done that many times. But that is the association that is positive in regards to this movie. Everything that is built outside of the fact that this exists at the Hollywood Tower Hotel and they filmed some of it at the parks is just trash to me. The movie is so messy, and I genuinely can rarely say this when prepping for podcast, but I got bored prepping for this. And most of the time, even when I'm not having a great time, or if I'm gonna rate something pretty low, I can usually at least stay fairly engaged with what I'm watching. There's only one other example that I can think of where I truly got like really bored to the point where I had to like struggle to like lock back in. It's so rare for that to happen to me, but it happened to me. I literally had to pause this a few times and like go do something else because my brain was wandering so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just want to take my phone out and scroll on Instagram while I'm watching this, but I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to prep this for this podcast. So if my attention cannot even be kept in something, it's going to be very difficult for me to want to return to this at any time in the future. So 0.5 point out of 2.
Alrighty, so our last category is creativity. A total possible score of 1 for this category. I thought really long and hard on this one, and I almost gave it 0 points, but I ended up conceding and giving it 0.5 point for creativity.
Interesting.
And here's why. What I originally wrote was that the 90s and 2000s already had plenty of scary, spooky stories for kids, and they all were better than this one. Even if someone argues that this was the first try to make a movie based on the theme park ride, this feels like they had enough substance for a 30-minute TV show and should have spent more time fleshing it out for a theatrical length movie. I don't think it paved the way when a film like Pirates of the Caribbean was an attempt actually invested in appropriately. However, that is what this category is for. And so I think I had to give it credit for that because this was the first try.
That milestone
event. This was the first try Disney had to make a film or TV content, media presentation of a theme park ride that did not come from an already existing IP like Splash Mountain. That existed before, or Song of the South existed before Splash Mountain was made, and they didn't then have to make a new film based on a ride that existed. The film already existed. And I think it's impressive that this didn't kill it. So I think that Disney could have easily looked at the Tower of Terror film and said, this was absolutely horrible. Movies cannot be made on theme park rides. There's not enough substance there to make a film about it. And then look what Pirates of the Caribbean did. True. It was a smash hit and probably one of Disney's like financially biggest franchises that they've made that was an original concept and didn't come from an already existing book or movie or TV show or, like Winnie the Pooh is huge. Mm-hmm. Winnie the Pooh was a book series. Yeah. Mickey Mouse is probably the only other like original IP that Disney has that I would say is as big as an original Disney parks concept. So I think it's impressive that this being as horrible as it is didn't end the attempt at making media, either film or TV, based on a theme park attraction. And so that's what this category is for. And I felt like my personal taste was leaking into it a little bit by wanting to give it a 0, because I do think that as on its own, we had in the 90s and 2000s, there was, the kids TV show Goosebumps. There were tons of Goosebumps was huge.
Are
in the
You
90s.
Afraid of the Dark was also
Are You
big.
Afraid of the Dark was huge. Films that were made, kind of spooky films for kids kind of already existed. Books, definitely a huge outlet for kids. Family content for a little bit on the scarier, spooky side, that already existed. So I think in and of itself, it didn't do anything. But as an iteration of a theme park attraction, it was the first one. It wasn't good, but sometimes your first draft of anything or your first attempt at something is just going to be absolutely horrible. And so I think it's impressive that Disney kept going. And then look what Pirates of the Caribbean did. It was absolutely massive. I think, unfortunately, a lot of other movies based on Disney IP have not been as successful as Pirates. Like the Haunted Mansion films just have not been very successful.
They made a Country Bears film.
Yeah, Country Bears film.
That was, again,
did not
a very quick.
do well.
Yeah, I think it was like okay, but like they just put it on DVD and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah, but I think all of those did get theatrical releases.
Yes.
So it wasn't I think they pivoted away from a made-for-TV movie, and I think theatrical releases at least were more successful financially, if not in legacy. So I had to really think long and hard about it, and I almost gave it 0, and this would have been my first 0 score. But I think you really have to give it a little bit of, I did at least have to give it a little bit of credit for being that first try, and then not ending the concept entirely. So 0.5 point out of 1.
All right. So for me, for creativity, out of 1 point, I gave this 0 points because I didn't think about that, and I'm not going to change my answer now.
That's fine. I really almost didn't. I really was going to give it a 0.
I think it's just so frustrating to see a concept taken and then murdered, for lack of better term. Everything about the execution was so flawed, so messy, and so without check. Like, it's almost like it felt like it was written, it was like first draft written, and then they were like, let's go to set with it. It's like, I did other people not put eyes on this and attempt to like edit or refine or anything like that? It doesn't feel like it, at least in execution. And so because of that, I get really frustrated. I don't think it really did anything new for Disney Channel or ABC at the time, because like you said, lots were going around. And nothing really super unpredictable happens in the movie to make people be like, that was memorable. I'm going to carry that with me after watching this. And yes, I agree with the milestone, but I think that it's unfortunately because of how poor the movie is. It's not like it even is celebrated or cherished, really. It didn't. Yes, it may have been the first, but it was definitely not the first remembered.
Definitely.
And so it was a milestone, but it was not an iconic milestone, unfortunately. So if you are a casual Disney viewer, you may not know that this film exists. You have to kind of be a couple levels deep into Disney fandom to probably even know that this exists, because it's not even accessible on any of like current streaming platforms, and maybe it never will again. Maybe this has become the black sheep child of Disney parks adapted into movies collection, and Disney is like, we don't even want to associate anymore. Or maybe ABC held the rights, and ABC was like, we're done.
They're owned by Disney, so.
Right now they are, yeah. But maybe at the time it was like, I don't know what those logistics were or whatever. But because of that, I just hate seeing all this potential get absolutely wasted.
Yeah.
And every moment of potential within the messy thing being squashed and squandered. So I gave this 0 out of 1.
Definitely.
So I think we can all do easy math, but what was your score?
So my final score for Tower of Terror is 0.5 point out of 10.
And mine is 1 out of 10, which makes this my lowest score ever.
Wow. Takes a lot for you to give a 1.
I know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I've had another one. We've done so many at this point. I don't remember all my.
We'll have to look it up, because
Yeah.
I'm curious now. But I feel like before your lowest score is like a 1.5.
Maybe.
Or a 2.5.
Yeah.
So,
are you ready for... Do you have anything to say before we go into lightning round?
no, I'm ready.
All right, some of these are going to be atrocious.
Is this going to be bad CGI lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get trapped in this room for 60 years.
Oh, that would suck.
That would be bad.
This is a small room.
Yeah. At least we have a few things in here to keep us entertained.
True.
All right, you must pick a
Okay.
favorite character.
Oh gosh. Kirsten Dunst's character would have to be that one. I almost picked her mom, except her mom was horrible for letting her hang out with Buzzy.
Yeah.
And Buzzy's a horrible name.
Yeah.
I wondered if Buzzy was an homage to the
character Buzzy from
the parks.
the Epcot attraction.
Yeah.
Cranium Command.
That was it.
Yeah. I
was
don't
trying
know.
to think, yeah.
Maybe. My favorite character...
What an insult to Buzzy.
Yeah. My favorite character is maybe the guy who is gonna inherit the hotel, the like handyman guy.
Yeah.
He at least attempts to do some things in this.
Yeah, except
movie.
he's a big coward.
He is a big coward, but I don't have a lot of great options here.
You don't. That's true.
All right, favorite scene.
Oh gosh. The end. When it's over. No, because that means you had to watch all of it. I think the scene when they're in the kitchen and the ghosts are making all the noise. Probably that. I don't think it's great, but it was the one moment where I was like, okay, that wasn't terrible. So.
Okay. My choice is the very first scene, the opening, because at least it had some flavors to it.
It did.
And then that was it.
Yeah.
So we're done. Okay. Are there any moments in this movie that you think were adapted okay from the attraction? Any basis?
Any. I did like how at the end of the movie, the elevators broke and they fell.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, they had a falling elevator. So that they actually did it, which is the whole point of the ride, is It's a drop and the elevator falls. So I thought that I was actually a little bit caught by surprise that they even had a moment where the elevator fell. So I was like, okay, at least this is they tried to tie it into the attraction and had our main characters like in a falling elevator versus
just frozen in time.
Yeah.
So, bad CGI aside, I did appreciate that when the lightning strikes the elevator, that we get that shot of everybody in the elevator kind of being like this, which is almost directly from the little pre-show video that you get in the ride when the fake Rod Sterling is telling the story of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. So I appreciated that they kind of one for one gave us that shot. All right. If you could rewrite this to make this better, what is a significant change that you would make?
I would say with existing concept, like if I have to stick to the existing concept, I would just take out all of the black magic plot line and just have the whole plot being trying to fix the elevator to get them to the top floor. And I would have also made the top floor be the 13th floor because I think that's an important homage to the ride as well. So I would have said that they have to get to the top floor of the elevator and that would be the solution to fix the problem. And I think if we set it up that way, you don't have to have the why behind it. Right. If we kind of set it up that this is, just an unexplained phenomenon that happened. Maybe the storm still happened. Yeah. There was a lightning strike. It was this, it fried the elevator and, we can go down, but we can't get up to the 13th floor. I think you can have it established to your audience as like, this is just a strange occurrence, kind of like how in the first season of Stranger Things, which go back and listen to season 1 of our podcast, and we talk about Stranger Things season 1, how the majority of Stranger Things, you don't have to understand the rules behind anything. You don't understand the rules of the Upside Down. You don't understand why the Demogorgon is attacking people. You don't have to know the why. And so I think that we can have a strange thing happen to this hotel, and it's kind of haunted and cursed this hotel without it being magic or some kind of like magical spell. But yeah, that's what I would change probably.
I agree. I think I would take out the whole magic aspect and the character of the old lady. I think it just adds a level of dark that doesn't need to be there. But also my goal would be in some way, and don't ask me exactly how I would do this, but I would strive to make Buzzy and Anna's characters more relevant to fix to the solution, instead of just the they're almost like the bodyguards to you, the audience, and not actually like relevant to make any changes to what's happening. So I think that's one of the biggest glaring issues as well.
I would just, my goal would be to centralize what happens in the story to be more directly correlated with the decisions that they make as characters. Yeah. And I think you could have easily fixed that, like Buzzy's character arc. I think you could have easily fixed it by, one, giving your ghost a little bit personality. But what if instead of having a bellhop, well, maybe you could have a bellhop, but maybe instead of having like have your male, no, instead of one of your ghosts, like maybe either the male ghost or the female like nanny of the little starlet, make one of them a reporter. And then he's like, tell me what it's like. Like, what is news like out there? Like, you guys probably get to report on the coolest stuff. And he's like really excited about, he's like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about the news. And he's, you know, his perspective of what a reporter's job is back to like a classic, like 30s, 40s era of news. And so that reignites a spark in Buzzy that like, hey, what I'm doing is just being a con artist. And, you know, I mean, it'd be so simple, and it would be a bit cliche, but it would be an easy way. But it would at least
support the character of Buzzy and his reason for being there. Yeah. More than just this bumbling guy who happened to be involved in this.
Well, and it would give him a reason to it would give him a catalyst to change, because in the existing story, he has no reason to be any different at the end of the film than he is at the beginning of the film. Right. And so he has no development because he doesn't need any.
Right.
So,
okay, last question.
Okay.
If you could pick any other attraction, Disney parks or otherwise, just of theme parks that you may be familiar with, pick one to make a film about and give me the very basic premise.
Ooh. That's tough. I gotta try and think what all the rides are.
I have an answer, but I'll let you go first if you want to.
Okay, you'll have to cut out all the dead space because I'm gonna take.
Unless you want me to go first
and think of them. No, I'll think of one. I'm trying to think of all the parks and all the rides and all the parks. What if it's already been made into a movie?
That's okay. Give us a new iteration or a new one in the series.
Yeah, see, I would have done I think the Jungle Cruise was a good theme park ride that doesn't have any existing IP. And I think I would have done the Jungle Cruise as I would have set it in what era is the Jungle Cruise in? Like maybe like 1910s? So like with Dr. Livingstone or whatever, like that era, or like the Jungle Book era would be like early 1900s and pre-World War II, I think.
Yeah.
Or World War
One. I believe
pre-World War One. And I would have had like some kind of adventure film similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, where there's maybe something mysterious in the jungle, kind of like an Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Kind of artifact or civilization or something that they're trying to find through the jungle, and then have some kind of like, I don't know. It'd be nice if there was some fantasy element to it, but I don't think you need one. I think it could have been played completely straight, and it would have been, just kind of an adventure film. So yeah, but maybe there's they're trying to find some lost civilization, kind of like Atlantis, but it's in the jungle.
Yeah.
And then, maybe they do find one, maybe they don't. Maybe they think they found one, but it turns out it's like a hoax or some kind of spoof. Because, like in the 1900s, early 1900s, like all of these hoaxes were like discovering some kind of like ancient mummy or, fake mermaid. Like all of that was really big back in those days. People like where they stitched like the top half of a chimp skeleton to like the bottom half of
kind
a
of like
fish.
The carnival appeal.
Yeah,
people would come to the carnival and gawk at things.
Yeah, and so maybe there's something like you think it's this real thing, but then it turns out to be a scam or something like that. But yeah, okay. That would be kind of like the vibe I would want for it.
So my answer would be also a quest adventure with a little bit of suspense, and I would take Expedition Everest and have a collection of explorers or hikers or, mountain climbers, and are they not being potentially hunted by a Yeti? I don't know. So I think that could be an interesting way to adapt the Expedition Everest ride.
That's a good one. So yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything else to say?
No, but now you got me trying to think of other rides that could be. Expedition Everest is a really good one.
I also potentially considered. They don't do this anymore, but previously with Kilimanjaro Safaris, there was a story told.
I thought about
with,
the safaris too. Yeah,
the poachers and the baby elephant. They kind of did away with that story because I think it disturbed some kids or something like that.
Yeah,
but. It could be interesting to use that for a movie idea.
I actually went on that ride when it was doing the little. They were like,
Little Red was.
We have to go save Little Red, and our safari guide was not very into it, and she was like, "Oh no, we have to go find Little Red. Hold on, Little Red, we're coming." And we were just like, "She's really selling it.
She's having a hard day."
She was doing her best.
Yeah. So. It's okay.
Is that picking up?
Maybe a little, but I don't think it's too bad.
But yeah, I thought about the safaris too, but I was like, well, it's just kind of a safari. I think the jungle cruise would be a little bit more fun. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I would set it in like the Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon jungle. Or maybe like, no. I would do it in like Central Africa.
I have lots of ideas, actually.
What other ideas do you have?
Well, while we're here, I thought a really fun animated movie could be The Enchanted Tiki Room. That you could somehow have like a story of like how the birds came to the tiki room, perhaps. It could be a musical because the attraction is musical, and so
that would be a good one.
It could be like a fun family musical, and all of the birds kind of meet each other in one way or another and establish the tiki room.
So. You could have like one guy that's like, maybe you could have a guy that like teaches the tiki birds how to talk.
Yeah, and sing and things like that. Yeah.
It's kind of like a Dr. Dolittle. Like, you can talk to other animals too, but then the birds actually learn how to talk because they're parrots.
You could also do a Soarin' ride that involves like people who like paraglide or something.
Hang glide or something like that. Yeah, that would be a good one.
I
almost thought of
slice of life kind of movie almost.
Yeah, I almost thought of like Mission Space would be a good one. Could be kind of like a generic space ride though.
People like those, though. People like space
movies.
So.
Yeah. And then I also thought of Spaceship Earth. Mm-hmm. You could have like a time travel movie.
About like the history of communications and
just like
technology and civilization. That could be really cool, too.
Yeah.
So. Lots of ideas.
Lots of good ones. I was trying to think of some Epcot ones that they used to have, like old ones that they don't have anymore.
Yeah, like Horizons and Cranium Command, which could be, you already have the character of Buzzy. You could just make a film, stuff like that.
Yeah. And then
Figment could potentially be a good animated movie if they, change the concept back.
I think they'd have to go back to the original Figment
like
concept.
Imagination concept.
Yeah. It'd be kind of like a Pete's Dragon-esque story with like the people are real and the Figment is animated. Yeah.
We're going to talk as much about our potential ideas.
You got a lot of good ones there.
Thanks.
So
it's my parks expertise.
I know. I'm
coming out.
Blanking out. I couldn't think of any rides. I'm like, golly.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Well,
like,
it's hard too now because with every year, I feel like the park just puts existing IPs on every attraction possible anyway. So the amount of attractions that are their own IP are diminishing over the years, sadly. So that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I think the dinosaur ride that they just RIP, I think that could have been a good movie. I
mean, they kind of adapted the dinosaur movie from like 1999 and slapped that IP into it.
Right.
But it's not based on
It's
that
not based
movie.
on that movie.
Right.
So like if you had to go back in time and catch a dinosaur.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Because then you could have like modern technology
in make it.
You have like modern technology in the prehistoric era.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that would be, I feel like a lot of them would lean too far into, Jurassic Park. And like, they already made a Jungle Cruise movie, so my idea is going to sound like, well, they already did that. You know what? Shut up. I'm doing my best here. It's called Lightning Round. I have to come up with an answer on the fly.
No.
So.
I thought those were good answers.
Thanks. You did good.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All right. Got a lot of good ones. You can not steal our ideas, Disney. They're copyrighted under this.
Or you could pay us lots of money.
Yeah, you can buy them from us.
We will be in negotiation with you.
Yeah, anytime.
All right. Anything else to add?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We hope you had a good time because we know that we did. If you have an idea of what we should review next, then you can tell us those things. You can leave us a comment or use our suggestion box on lineandmousepodcast.com. We've been seeing those comments come through. Thank you so much for that. You can also find links to our show notes, Patreon, and socials at our website as well. And also review this episode wherever you're listening to it. It does help us to be seen. This goes for YouTube as well. If you like, comment, subscribe, those sorts of engagement boost us in the algorithm so people looking for similar things find us. We appreciate all of the support. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.